Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then definitely come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. That group was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 6 and that 7-figure level. So if that's you, definitely come check us out. So today I want to introduce you to one of the members of our community, Stephanie Snyder. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Great, great. So tell the members of the community what it is that you do.
So I am an intuitive life and business coach. I help women create space to tap into their intuition so they can create cash flow with ease. And I'm a mom of 4, so pretty busy most of the time.
Okay, good, good. And I'm guessing with COVID-19, are the kids being homeschooled as well?
They are home. We officially ended school last week. So we are officially in summer vacation mode, but that hasn't really changed. I feel like we did that all through COVID anyways.
Yes. Definitely feel where you're coming from. Okay, good, good. So what got you started down this path as far as you said, intuitive life coach?
Yes, life and business coach. So initially, I started out as a health and fitness coach about 6 years ago. And I love health and fitness. I've always been a big workout exercise junkie. And so I started doing that because I just wanted to help other moms feel great as well. And then my clients started to ask me for more because they saw that I was working on my PhD. I was growing a business and I was raising kiddos. When I started my PhD, I was only a mom of 2. And I finished my PhD 2 weeks before baby number 4 was born. So being able to navigate all of that, yeah, she just peeked.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life. So being able to navigate all of that, my clients started to ask me for more. They wanted to know my time management tips. They wanted to know how I managed to not pull my hair out every day. And so about 3 years ago, I actually started to do more than just the health and fitness coaching. I actually started to talk about time management and giving yourself grace. And by creating that time, I was able to connect deeper to my own intuition and thereby create a business that flows with my life. And so now that's what I teach more of.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I love it, love it. And so tell us, what are your time management secrets then?
So for me, I started to work the nap time hustle is what I called it. The babies would nap twice a day, and it was from about 9 to 11, and then about 1:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. And during that time, that was my designated work time, because when you have small children, you can't really work and make sure that they're not putting other things in their mouth, right? And so I had to get really, really efficient with my time. And so it turned into me simplifying my business because I only had a couple hours a day to be mom, to be business owner. And so I started to do the nap time hustle. And still to this day, I mean, especially during the summer, I work a couple hours in the afternoon. But most of the day is filled with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because I've simplified my business so much, and I'm so in tune to my intuition that I can sit down and say, okay, these are the things that are actually going to move my business forward today. So I'm going to do only those. And if that's done before children need me, then I work a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But they are pretty good about giving me the space and knowing that this is their designated quiet time in the afternoon. So.
Yeah, yeah. And what did you call it? The nap time hustle?
Nap time hustle. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, is that a term you coined?
I did not. I wish I did. Somebody else had coined it, and I was like, "That's exactly what I do. I do the nap time hustle." Yes.
Love it, love it. Now, in terms of so your clients, based on the ones you help, where do you feel like they typically need the biggest and most support?
A lot of it is believing in themselves first and foremost, because what I found and what I've also found with working with my clients is they feel like they're or they're being busy rather because somebody else has an expectation for them, right? And so when I can kind of help them to trust themselves and say, hey, you actually don't need to work nonstop. You can sit on the couch and be present with your kids and not be thinking about work when you can trust your own actions in your business. And so it's about creating that trust for themselves personally, but also really helping them to simplify at the same time, right? And giving up some of that control, because moms are really great at being control freaks. We have little children that we have to manage and keep alive every single day. And so if we can control that they're alive, we also start to control other areas of our life as well. And so for me, when I first got started, it was giving up the fact that there was going to be dirty clothes in the laundry basket. And not doing laundry every single day, and sitting down and saying, you know what, it's okay that there is dishes in the sink. I'm going to be present right now with my kids, and I'll worry about the dishes later. And giving themselves permission to actually sit and do something for themselves, or to sit and be fully present with their children. And that's kind of the process of, creating the space and not feeling guilty for sitting.
Mm-hmm.
As crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes perfect sense as well, too, because as an entrepreneur, right, there's always, doesn't matter how much success you create for yourself, there's always another level. So it could get to a point where you feel like, okay, you just have to keep going. You just have to keep at it, right, without taking any breaks, because you feel like if you take a break, then you kind of missing out on something, or you should be doing something when you aren't, right?
Right. Yeah. And the other side of that too was also redefining what success meant to me. Because I would fall in bed at night totally and utterly exhausted and be defeated because I hadn't felt successful that day. But the truth is, you attract what you are, not what you want. And so I had to start celebrating those successes every single day. And so I redefined what success was. And some days it was, I kept all the children alive and the house hasn't burned down. And other days it was, okay, I signed a private client today and we increased our revenue and all these other things. But I made sure that at the end of the day, I was always celebrating whatever progress I had made that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you said as far as we don't attract what we want, it's really we attract who we are. Which means that at the end of the day, the energy that you put out, whatever the energy is, whether you feel like you're successful, you feel like you're a failure, you feel like you're not making any progress, you just attract more of that type of stuff, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome. So what would you say besides was it the
Nap time hustle?
nap time hustle, right? What's another skill you'd say you've really practiced that's gotten you to your level of success today?
So aside from the nap time hustle, the other thing is really giving myself grace, because I know as a mom, there is going to be days where we have to go to the ER, and that's not planned. I didn't schedule it into my calendar. And so I give myself grace and flex time. So there are blocks during the day or during each week where I don't have anything scheduled. And if something comes up, I can say, okay, well, I'll actually do that later on down the week. And I give myself grace, because if I beat myself up, then I'm in this negative energy, and that's not where I want to be anyways. And so by giving myself grace and saying, okay, we learned something today, we're going to try it again tomorrow and it will be all right. And really giving yourself the opportunity to continue to move forward without, again, beating yourself up. So grace has been a big one for me. My mother gave me a magnet and it says, grace is more than the kid you knew in kindergarten. Um, so grace is definitely a big one that we practice. And I practice it with my kids too. They'll get upset if they don't do well on something, and I'll say, well, what did you learn? How can we change this failure into a learning moment?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So when it comes to, have you always been an entrepreneur?
I've been a serial MLMer for years. I always wanted to do something. I just wanted an excuse to go have conversations with people. But I do have my PhD. I actually teach college level courses as well, in government mostly. But I love communicating with people. And so I did a lot of entrepreneurial things in college and beyond. My father's an entrepreneur, has been for 50 years. And so it's in my DNA. And then about 3 years ago was when I fully stepped into my own coaching business with my own name and brand and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I know some of the viewers, they're still on their beginning journey as far as just getting started with their coaching or consulting businesses, and they really haven't taken that leap to maybe saying leaving the corporate 9-to-5 job and getting into doing coaching and consulting full time. So what advice would you have for someone who's in that situation and they're considering getting out and starting their own coaching business?
To just keep having conversations. I say this to my clients as well. If you can continue to make progress and continue to move forward while you're growing yourself, that's going to be more powerful than the people that say, okay, I can't take on clients because I don't have a brand, I don't have a website, I don't have an email funnel, I don't have this, I don't have that. Those things can come later. But for you to figure out what it is that you really enjoy and what you really want to coach on or consult on, or whatever your business is, it's going to take you having conversations with people. And it doesn't have to be that somebody is paying you right then, but you're going to know, okay, hey, I really don't like giving people advice on this, or I really, really love talking to people about these deeper things. And that can start to transform into your business. And the real beauty is that most of the time what our businesses come from is something that we take for granted. My business started as time management coaching, and moms were coming to me asking me for time management. That is second nature to me. I don't even think about it. I'm just really efficient at my time. And to the same accord, my father, he's like, I don't know how you do it. You're just really good with your time. And that can be something that you start to create your business around, is something that you're already really great at. But sometimes we don't see the forest through the trees because we're like, oh, well, we know how to do that. What do you mean other people don't? And so that's where my business came from. And it was just me opening my eyes saying, oh, people really don't do this well. Or some people don't. There are plenty of people who manage their time well. There's also plenty of people who don't.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff as well too. I know that, and it's so fascinating because we have a lot of individuals, just from what I do as well too. Most individuals who do come to us, they want to start a coaching and consulting business, and a lot of them I see. One of the big mistakes I see, at least, is individuals who they want to help, but in a way they haven't really done or they haven't really mastered yet. I always like to say, hey, let's look at your past, let's look at your life, let's look at the things that you're really good at, and it comes second nature to you. And then based on that, build around that. Because number one, whatever question someone has about that topic, you'll be able to guide them and you'll be able to help them figure it out, versus getting into this thing you've never done before, you're not even sure how it works, and then saying, I want to help people do that thing, right?
Right. Yeah, I had a mentor say to me once, if somebody were to pay you $100,000 to speak on stage for 60 minutes, what could you talk about? And I was like, time management. He was like, okay, that's where you start. If you can talk about something for 60 minutes, that's where you start. And of course, my skills have progressed now. I can talk about strategy, or, giving yourself grace, or tapping into your intuition. But I started with what I knew and what I could talk about. And oftentimes it's what your friends come to you for advice for, because they know that that's what you're good at.
Yeah. Now, what about self-knowledge and stuff? How are you consuming your knowledge? Are you reading books, podcasts, events? What are you doing?
I do all the things. Certainly not many live events right now, but I listen to podcasts. I do a lot of self-development books. I have several books that I just pick up, and I'll open a book and I'll read that day. I have books. I think I have 5 or 6 books going right now. They're all over my house, so I'll just pick up one and and start reading it. But I make sure that I'm definitely still feeding my mind because I'm growing too. As my business grows, I need to grow. And so it's a constant input.
Hmm. And what about lessons? Have you had any big insights or breakthroughs over the past maybe few days or weeks that
Uh,
you can share based on something you've learned?
Always.
Mhm.
I always feel like there's a breakthrough around the corner. But one thing that, given the shift in energy over the last couple of days with, I don't know how in tune you are to the planets or the moon or summer solstice or any of that stuff. I never realized how sensitive I was to it until I realized how sensitive I was to it, right? And so this past weekend was a summer solstice and Mercury was going into retrograde and a bunch of things, planetary. And I, my ego, my fear was coming through in full force and just trying to take me out. And so I went into my garden because that tends to be my peace, right? If I can get my hands in the dirt and just connect with nature, I can usually get out of my head pretty quickly. And my soul said to me, my soul speaks to me a lot, said, your ego is trying to keep you safe. And the vision that you have for your life is big and it doesn't feel safe to your ego. So your ego is trying to keep you in a place that it feels safe. Because my ego was saying, oh, well, you didn't receive any clients this week. So let's go get a job at 7-Eleven. Let's sell your vegetables in a grocery stand down the street, right? Let's go get a job at CVS or all these things, right? My ego was coming up with all these crazy things that I could do to create money that day. And when I had that conversation, or rather that, and I knew it, I've known that for a long time, but it was just in that moment that my soul reaffirmed, hey, what you're doing is terrifying to your ego. So your ego is going to try to come up and keep you safe. But when you trust your intuition and you trust in the vision that you've been given, you're going to be safe anyways.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's taking that moment and saying, okay, what do I need to feel safe right now in this moment? And I've asked my ego that before, and my ego has said, you need a 9-to-5 job. And I laughed when I heard that because I've never had a 9-to-5 job
Hmm.
ever. I was a nanny for years through undergrad, and then I worked in retail. So I've never had a 9-to-5. So I realized that wasn't even my belief. That was my mother's belief.
Hmm.
And my mother believes that a 9-to-5 is the safe way to make money. And so as you can start to create the space for your intuition to come through, you can realize a lot of those fears that come up are not even ours. And you can laugh at the absurdity of them because I'm not going to go work at 7-Eleven or sell my vegetables on the corner. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And that's powerful stuff as well. So I believe that there's always that voice running in the back of our heads, right? And I know for myself, what I try to do whenever these types of things, some of it's the energy, because I realize that when we really break everything down, it's all energy, and whatever energy whatever energy you're putting out, you're basically like a magnet attracting that to you. So you said, and the
Absolutely.
way you said you kind of get grounded and stuff like that is by going through your garden and doing those types of things.
Yeah, so nature grounds me very quickly.
Mhm.
Being around my horse also grounds me.
Oh, you got a horse. What is, hey,
Yes, we have a
hey,
horse.
hey,
We got a
that's,
horse about a month ago.
mhm,
I started riding a couple years ago. I finally made the time for myself to start riding, and so we have a horse now, and not in my backyard, at a stable,
mhm,
but hanging out with the horse grounds me as well. And it's about giving myself permission to connect back in.
yeah,
Like you said, everything is an energy, and what you give your energy to, what you focus on, you're going to create more of. And I talk about the power of your focus a lot with my clients. If you're focused on the fact that you have nothing, you're going to continue to attract nothing in that lack mindset. But if you step into gratitude and you focus on all the things that you have, you actually tap into the abundance. And it's very easy to shift your focus. The example I use is if you decide to go buy a red Toyota Prius, you're so excited about a red Toyota Prius, right? But because you're focused on it, all you're going to see driving around town is red Toyota Priuses.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody and their mother has one.
Yeah.
And then you're like, shoot, everybody has a red Toyota Prius. Maybe I don't want a red one. And you can easily shift your focus to, oh, well, I want a white one now. And being able to shift your focus allows you to tap into whatever it is you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the same thing is if you decide you're going to have a bad day because somebody cut you off, well, you're going to notice all the bad stuff that happens the rest of that day.
Exactly. Love it, Stephanie. Well, hey, if someone wanted to reach out and connect, what is the best way for them to be able to do so?
So I am loving hanging out on Instagram right now at _opulent life. My new website is under construction, so it is not available yet. But I am here on Facebook as well as Stephanie Snyder. So you can find me here on Facebook or on Instagram at _opulent life.
Awesome. Love it, Stephanie. And guys, if you're watching this on the live or the replay, all the links Stephanie just mentioned, they will either be above or below this video. So you could click on through and get connected right to her. So Stephanie, hey, thank you again for making the time to be here today. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
The only thought that I have is to not settle. I did an Instagram live on this earlier today. The idea of, you know, even if it's at the end of the month, to just keep going, because the reason you have your business, you have this idea to create your business, is because you can impact somebody else's life. So don't settle for only impacting one life. Impact as many as you can.
Love it, Stephanie. Well, hey, thank you again for stopping by. Thank you so much for sharing.